Hi everybody, welcome to DS4. I'm Nicholas Boyarski and I'm really pleased to welcome you to my teaching partners, Louise Can and Duke Lay. It's going to be a very exciting year. There are a lot of challenges ahead. We've worked very hard to find a route through this for you, and we're looking forward to working with a group of committed and motivated students to form DS4.
Hi everybody, welcome to DS4. My name is Louise Can and this will be the fourth year teaching with the studio this year. I am a practicing architect, initially working for Wilkinson Architects in London, and more recently founding a architectural design and spatial agency called Can Design. I also teach alongside Joel Chappell for advanced architectural design, which I'm sure you'll be more familiar with as AAD.
Hi, my name is Duke Lay. I have the pleasure to join Nicholas and Louis this year in DS4. Apart from teaching at Oxford Brook, I practice architecture in London and carry out my independent research about modernist architecture in Vietnam. I'm very interested in architecture theory and history and post-design methodology. Welcome to DS4.
This is an image taken in 2015 of the Stalker Walk that DS4 took part in alongside 80 other students and architects walking across the territory of Estonia for 2 days, 30 kilometers a day. This tells you a little bit about our approach to the sites and to collaborating with colleagues across Europe. The next image is showing us in Sarajevo in 2018. Again, this was a workshop with students from Sarajevo University in Sweden. This coming year, we're going to be working in the city of Belfast. We're not travelling to the Balkans because of the COVID situation, so Belfast within the UK seemed to us a safe and logical site to work in. Belfast is a mediated city. It's probably the most mediated city in the UK in terms of film, journalism, photography, artworks. And we're going to situate your researches into the city in the first semester in this notion of mediated city. This is an image by Stéphane Dufour, a well-known French photographer taken in Belfast in 1971. Now, there are two readings to this. You can look at it first and you see the three boys playfully, cheerfully looking at the photographer. When you look at the centre of the photograph in the middle, you see a British trooper with his gun ready to shoot. This was the image of Belfast within the 1970s and 80s with all the troubles and is really etched into our memory of the place. The next little sequence of images I'm going to show you are by a very young contemporary Irish photographer called Enda Bowe, who's been working on this project for the last 5 years. What you see is a huge palette, a circular palette, that's built by teenagers and youths on both sides of the peace walls in Belfast. So the next image shows the construction of this circular fortress of pallets and finally ritually burnt down. Now, in doing this project, Enda Bowe worked with the communities on both sides of the wall and really got to a point where he established that the young people want to unite and talk together. Whilst the walls, the peace walls that divide Belfast are really omnipresent and powerful, the wall is also really an interesting architectural device that both encloses, protects and separates. And this is an image of typical landscape in Northern Ireland, where you've seen handmade stone walls that have been there for centuries. Now, when we come to Belfast, you can see in this first image, which is an image, a plan diagram of the peace walls, that the city is completely divided along religious grounds between Protestant and Catholic, and you can see the red lines signify these huge peace walls that were erected some years ago and still stand as a sort of monument to the conflict within the city. The next image shows a very different reading of Belfast. It's a plan of huge infrastructures of transport and circulation routes that provide what have been described as a grey donut around the city. So here you see that the centre of the city is cut off from the rest of the city, and neighbourhoods are isolated due to these extraordinary infrastructure and traffic routes that were planned partly to reinforce the divisions within the city. And we're going to be looking at this problem and working with architects and planners and urbanists within Belfast who are currently championing a way of breaking down this division. The final of these three little mappings of Belfast is a mapping which is called a shrinking city mapping, which shows how much empty and abandoned sites there are in Belfast. So everything red on this map is abandoned. And the population of Belfast has shrunk from about just under 500,000 to 200,000 in the past 10-15 years. So the three mappings show different aspects of the city, divisions along political and sectarian lines, divisions along colonial and infrastructural lines, and then this underlying sea of opportunity, abandonment and poverty and decline of industry that have led to the situation in Belfast now.
Arguably the most mediated city in the UK, Belfast has a huge media presence in terms of film and photography. And as part of our first studio brief, we'll be working in groups to produce new speculative filmscapes from the existing media we find. A construct of a film within a film, if you like, to understand our mediated city and potential related sites. In light of the current global pandemic, we question as architects how we can conceive and understand context that we don't have access to. And with this, we look toward an interdisciplinary action and measure to reinterpret our own in this time. We'll be interrogating the medium spatially, identifying qualities of material, of light, colour, emotion, time, and duration. And we look to previous architects, designers, artists, and filmmakers to understand how we can rehabit this existing media, both for the deconstruction of it, but also for the remaking of it. A few examples will be Paul Nichols's Golden Hour digital animation that depicted a single drawing describing the capture of one camera in one movement. We have Nick Clear's planned films and consequential drawing works. His work Dread, of a man who refused to leave his house and how his own anxieties morphed his domestic environment. And a film he did for Nike, which was of a runner moving through a fragmented cityscape where his actions and motions are monitored and displayed. We also looked to Ds4's own student, Gina Andreo, who looked at ways of reconstructing photographed and recorded tourist views of the city of Skopje. So as you can see, with this we'll place a heavy emphasis on understanding filmscapes through other forms of representational means and drawings, through dialectograms, craniograms, and 3D reconstructions, both physically and digitally, to understand something that we only perceive two-dimensionally, to help us give rise to new interpretations, narratives, and material experimentation.
The year structure around the dialectic between the mediated and the real. Through exploring art projects, photography, films, the first term provides an opportunity to investigate a perceived condition of the mediated Belfast and to gain understanding of the city, to start developing a narrative, a material interest, and a site for your individual thesis project. In second term, potentially in the last week of January, depending on the COVID situation, we will travel to Belfast to allow you to have a reality check, to challenge your preconceived notion, and to further develop your thesis project into its full complexity and criticality. In Ds4, we work constantly in a collaborative manner with our internal critics as well as our external participants. This year, we will have seminars and talks with video artist Andy Steve from Vietnam, Rome-based architect and theorist Peter Lang, Bartlett professor Murray Fraser. We will also join forces with our Belfast collaborators, architect Mark Hackett, Queen's University professor Michael McGarry, and architect Cecilian Marco. In addition,
We also have the technical expertise from Jason Coleman, and Graham Maudlin will be in charge of management, practice and law. The COVID situation has been uncertain. For that reason, this year we will have different digital platforms including blogs, video channel, where you can showcase your work, discuss and archive your work. Ds4 interests are based on a direct physical engagement with the city and architecture, and a commitment to thinking through seeing, meeting, making and doing. Through individual to group tutorial, from art installation to seminar and workshop, we aim to craft material and fictional narratives in a fast-moving present where new alliance and division are emerging, which are blurring memories and politicizing identities. We are looking for curious, self-motivated, open to developing your architecture imaginations and forging personal narrative based on material observations, experimentations, drawing and speculations. We are here to stimulate you, to encourage you to build on your architecture language and to form a strong and challenging thesis project to help with conceptual and technological development and to push you further.
We're looking forward to talking to anyone interested in joining DS4 this afternoon. In the meantime, DS4's draft blog and our Instagram account details are on the screen for you to follow. We look forward to meeting you later on today.